Welcome along to our tutorial in Scratch, where we are going to be making ourselves this shooting gallery game, where the aim of the game is to shoot as many of these ducks as possible that appear in the gallery in 60 seconds. Each time you shoot a duck, you will get some points added to your score. After 1 minute or 60 seconds, the person with the most points will be the winner. So just to show you how it runs, we press the green flag at the top. You can see the time down here starting to count down from 1 minute. Each time you click on a duck, I don't know if you can hear that through the speakers, but there's a little duck sound being played. Okay, and you can see the score going up. Okay, different ducks are worth different points as well. So you'll see some smaller ducks like this one come up, and you'll notice that he's worth some more points. There's also one really fancy duck that changes colour, which is worth the most points. You might see it pop up down in this section in just a moment. I just want this timer to get to 0 so I can show you what happens when we do get to the end. Hopefully he pops up soon. There he is. So there's a little coloured fella. If you click on him, he's worth the most points out of all the different ducks. When that time gets to 0, you're going to see a little message pop up on the screen. A little duck's going to tell you your final score. Okay, so your score was 560. That's where he got it from just there. Alrighty, so looks like a complex game, especially with all these different sprites down the bottom, but really it's just time consuming to make. Okay, it's pretty easy overall. So I'm just going to stop it there, and I'm going to start a new Scratch file. Okay, I'll just save that. Alright, so we're in a brand new Scratch file. First thing we need to do is delete that cat, so we don't need the cat for this. And then we're going to bring in a backdrop. Now the backdrop I want you to bring in is the one in the shooting gallery folder that I've created for you. So you want to hit this little folder here and upload a backdrop from file. And this is it here. Now I created this backdrop in Photoshop. Okay, the dimensions were 480 pixels wide and 360 pixels in height. So if you want to make your own backdrops for Scratch, they're the dimensions, 480 by 360 pixels. And it just fits nicely onto our stage. Okay, I'm just going to close off that extra backdrop we had there. Now you might have noticed in the example that these lights down the side were actually flashing. Okay, and there's an easy way to do that. What I'm going to do is right click on my backdrop here and duplicate it. So I've now got two backdrops exactly the same. Okay, and I'm just going to zoom out here so we can see it all. What I'm going to do is basically just switch the lights around, the colour of them, in between these two backdrops. So on backdrop number 2, what I want you to do is go and grab your eyedropper tool from down the bottom and click on the green colour inside that first little circle. You can see that green colour is now selected. Okay, what we're going to do is grab our fill bucket next, and we're going to fill in all the pink dots down here with green. Okay, and the same again over this side. Alright, so next thing we're going to do, I'm just going to go back to backdrop 1 for a moment here, grab the eyedropper again, and I'm going to select the pink colour this time. Back on backdrop number 2, I'm going to get my fill bucket, and I'm going to colour in all the opposites from before. Okay, so now that I've got every second light coloured in pink, if I switch between those two backdrops, you can see that those colours are basically opposites between the two backdrops there. What I'm going to do is just get those backdrops to keep switching between each other as the game plays, and it will look like those lights are flashing. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my scripts, and inside my scripts, all I'm going to do is go to my events, and when the green flag is clicked to start our game, I'm going to go to the control tab and we're going to wait 0.5 seconds, and then we're going to go to the next backdrop. And we're going to wrap this up in a forever loop so that this code just continues to repeat itself over and over again while the game is being played. Okay, so while the game is being played, every half a second switch the backdrop. And if we press the green flag at the top now, you can see that those lights look like they're flashing, but basically all it's doing is just switching between the two backdrops every half a second. So that's an easy start to our game. The next thing I want to do is bring in a few sprites. Okay, so I've done a lot of these sprites for you. Okay, I did them up in Photoshop. I want you to go to Upload Sprite from File, and I want you to bring these 6 ducks in one by one. So we'll start with duck number 1. It comes out quite big, so what I want you to do is grab your shrink tool from at the top and just keep clicking on the little fella until he gets to about, well, actually it's probably a bit small, about that size there. And I want you to position him nicely on the top row about there. Okay, and we're going to do the same again. Oops, wrong button. Hit the folder, bring in duck number 2 and do the same process. Okay, so just shrink it down. It's probably still a little bit too big. Once you've got it shrunk to size so it matches up with the first duck, put him up on the top row there and you've got your second duck in play. I want you to do that for the first 6 ducks. Okay, we're going to have 4 in the top row, 4 in the middle row and 4 in the bottom row. So you should have 4 up here and 2 down here by the time you bring in all 6 ducks. I'm just going to pause the video for a moment so I don't waste your time, and I just want you to bring in the first 6 ducks. Alright, I'm back now and you can see that I have got the first 6 ducks into my game. So I need yours looking just like that. You'll see down the bottom, duck 1 through to 6 is down there and they're in order along here. We're going to duplicate each of these 6 ducks a bit later and put them in to fill up the rest of the game board, but for now I just want you to have those 6 ducks sitting in there. Okay, worry about the rest a bit later. Clicking back on duck number 1, this is where we're going to start our coding. So what we're going to do is we're going to go up to our events tab first and we're going to bring out when the green flag is clicked, like usual. So when we start our game, first thing we want to do is basically get our duck to show up on the page. Okay, so in your looks, just bring out show. And that's going to make him appear when we start our game. We're going to have some other ducks hidden when the game starts, but this one's going to be one of the ones that is showing. Okay, next thing we're going to do is we're going to get it into this exact position. And the way we do that is just go to our motion here and bring out, go to X and Y. Its current position right now are those coordinates. Okay, Scratch knows where it's currently sitting, so we'll just leave those 2 coordinates as they are. Yours might be a little bit different to mine, but should be fine. As long as you've got him in a good spot on your stage at the moment, then that's going to be fine, the X and Y. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to put in some code so when we click on this duck, he disappears. Okay, so we're going to go to the Events tab here, and we're going to select when this sprite is clicked. I'll zoom in a bit here so you can see this a bit better. So when this sprite is clicked, what we're going to do is go back to looks and we're going to hide this duck. Okay, that's pretty simple. And the next thing we're going to do is we want to get some points when we click on the duck. So we need to make a variable here in our data panel, and I want you to call that variable score. Make sure for all sprites it's selected and click OK. Okay, and you'll see now that you've got a score that appears on your page. I'm just going to bring that down and put it at the bottom. I didn't leave much room for this score panel, but down the bottom is going to have to do for now. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to change our score each time we click on a duck by a certain number of points. I'm going to choose 10 points for this duck. Okay. The other thing I want to do is I want to play a sound. Okay, it just makes it a bit more interactive if we've got a sound playing when we hit the duck. So in the sound option here, okay, I want you to play a sound. Now at the moment we've only got the option to play the sound pop, which isn't the sound we want. Okay, we're going to go up to the Sounds tab here. We're going to close that pop sound off and hit the little speaker and choose the duck sound. Click OK. If you want to have a listen to that, you can just press play there and you'll hear a little duck quacking. Back on scripts now, you can bring out play sound duck and put it below there. So basically now, when we click on a duck, or on that first duck in particular, we hide it. Okay, so it disappears off the page. We give ourselves 10 points and we play the sound of the duck quacking. Okay, I'm going to drop that into place over here somewhere. Okay, the next thing we need to do is make that duck reappear on our screen a certain number of seconds later. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the events and I'm going to bring out when the green flag is clicked again. Okay, and what I'm going to do while our game's running, we're going to have a forever loop. Okay, and inside of that forever loop we're going to have wait 1 second, and below that we're going to have show. So basically when our duck disappears, We wait 1 second and then he shows up again. Now 1 second is not a very long time for him to be disappearing. Okay, I want to change that. I want it to be a bit longer. Okay, and I don't want it to be the same amount of time every time. Okay, it's too predictable. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to our operators here and we're going to pick a random number of seconds that our duck disappears off the page for. And I'm going to pick that random to be between 5 and 10 seconds. Okay, so when our duck disappears, we wait 5 to 10 seconds before he is shown on the page again and reappears. Okay, so let's have a look at that. We'll press the green flag and we'll click on this duck. I hear the quack sound, he disappears. Now we wait 5 to 10 seconds and up he pops again. Okay, I'll just stop that. So that little duck's working quite well. Alright, one last thing I'm going to do is, actually I might leave that for now, I'll come back to that. I'm going to go to duck 2. Okay, duck 2 is this guy here. Basically, that's going to be the same code. So instead of dragging out all this code one by one and putting it all in again, what I'm going to do is go back to duck 1 and you pick up the code and drag it on top of duck 2. Each little chunk of code, pick it up, drag it and drop it on duck 2. When you go over here now, you can see all that code is on duck 2. Okay, the only thing we need to change is when he starts, we need to get rid of the go to X and Y. So pick it up, just drop it over here to delete it. And in motion, go down and bring it back out again. And you'll notice that it's got a different X and Y value now. It realizes you're now on duck 2 and he's got different X and Y coordinates. So it just updates those X and Y coordinates. So when we start our game, those are the coordinates he's going to start at. When we click on this little duck, okay, he hides. Instead of getting 10 points, let's get 15 points for getting this guy. Okay, and we still play the sound duck. Okay, now the issue we're going to have here is in sounds, the duck sound has not been imported. The pop sound has come back. So we need to close that off and re-import the duck sound. Okay, now that the duck sound's back in, that little bit of code's going to work. And down the bottom, okay, when we want our duck to reappear after he's just disappeared off the page, let's bring him back 10 to 15 seconds. Actually, no, we'll do it a bit sooner, maybe 7 to 12 seconds later. Okay, so he doesn't appear as frequently as the first duck. That looks pretty good. Let's press play and test him out. We'll try and click these first two. They both disappear. Hopefully this guy comes back maybe a little bit before this guy. Yep. And let's see if he comes back. There he is. Okay. So I've got duck number 2 working. What you need to do now is just go through duck 3, 4, 5, and 6 and do exactly the same thing. So you're basically picking up this code and dropping it on the duck 3 next. Remember all 3 chunks of it. Just bring it out so it's a bit neater. And all you're doing is changing the coordinates. So remember to take those off and put the new ones on. The other thing you need to change is the score. Each duck should be worth some different points. So let's make this guy worth 20 points. This is a little mohawk guy. And instead of showing every 7 to 12 seconds, I'm going to make it 10 to 15 seconds. So again, he's not showing up as frequently as these other 2 ducks. That's why you get more points, because he appears a lot less frequently. Do the same now for duck 4, 5, and 6. I'm going to pause the video while I quickly do that, and we'll come back and have a look at how he went. Alright, welcome back. I have now put all the code onto my 6 ducks. Okay, so I'm going to go through them really quickly. You just pause the video if you want to have a look at the code. But for duck number 6, I'm getting a score of 15 points, and I've got him appearing every 10 to 30 seconds. You can put whatever you want there. I'm easy. Duck number 5. Remember, you change the X and Y values as well. This guy, I've got him getting 35 points, and he only appears every 20 to 40 seconds. I'm going to make him special, this little Elvis duck. I'm going to make him a bit smaller, so I'm going to shrink him. So he's a little bit harder to click. Not too much harder, but just being a little bit different to the other ducks. Okay, so that's why you get the extra points for getting him. And there's duck number 4 as well. Now one thing I've got to tell you on the last one, make sure you go through each of these ducks and ensure you've got the duck sound imported. Okay, so duck 4, 5, 6, they've all got that duck sound there. You had to get rid of the pop sound by hitting the cross and importing the duck sound. Otherwise it's not going to go quack when you kill it or shoot it. Alright, so that's looking pretty good. Next thing we need to do is pretty much duplicate each of these ducks, so we've got 12 ducks in total. Okay, so very quickly now I'm just going to right click on duck number 1 and duplicate it. You'll see duck 7 appears. We just need to put him down here. His code can almost be exactly the same. We just need to get rid of the X and Y value there and bring out the new ones. Leave his score the same and leave the random stuff the same. Duck number 2, duplicate it and it becomes duck 8. Move it over into his position, change his coordinates, and he's all good to go. Pretty sure the sound will be there. Yep, he's got a duck sound, so you don't have to worry about changing the sound at all from pop to duck because it's already done that. Let's get little mohawk duck in now. We'll duplicate him, bring him down the bottom here. Okay, he's looking good. Just change the X and Y values for him. Elvis duck, duplicate it, bring it down the bottom here. Now we're going to change him up. We're going to make this duck a special duck. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to make him one little bit smaller, so let's shrink him again. So he's a tiny little duck. And we're going to add in some extra code. Okay, what I'm going to do is add in when the green flag's clicked again. And I'm just going to put in a forever loop. What I'm going to do is make him change color. Okay, constantly changing color. And I'm going to do that by going to looks. And I'm going to choose change color effect. Instead of by 25, just change it by 5. Okay, just drag that down the bottom somewhere. So basically when we start our game, he's going to be changing color constantly. So instead of setting that yellow color, he's going to be all sorts of different colors, just constantly fading in and out of different colors. And I'm going to make him appear every 30 to 50 seconds. So we're not going to see him very often at all. And we might change his score to 50. So he's worth some real bonus points, this guy. And what have we got left? After the Elvis duck, we've got... I missed one here. We've got that guy, we've got the hat guy, mohawk guy. Whoops, I did miss one. We'll move Elvis over here. We've got this little cowboy duck. So we'll duplicate him. Stick him down here. And we'll change his X and Y values. And finally, we've got this little army man guy. We'll duplicate him. Put him down the bottom right. And remember, get rid of the X and Y values and put in the new ones. Okay, so when we start our game now, we've got all these ducks. Oops, except this one. I forgot to put his coordinates in right. Where's the little mini Elvis? Better get him in the right spot, which is down here. And make sure I've got the right X and Y values in there. Okay, we'll try that again. Alright, so there's all our ducks. We can click on them all and they all disappear, and eventually they would all reappear. Now what we want to do now, when we start the game, we don't want all these ducks to appear. We only want a certain few. So I might leave duck 1. Oops, stop that game. Duck 1, we'll leave him on the page when the game starts. The next 3, I'm going to hide them. So up here where we've got the word show, I want you to replace it with the word hide. Okay, you might just get rid of show and put in hide instead. Do that for duck number 3 as well, so bring out hide, get rid of show, and connect it back up. Same for duck number 4. Get rid of show, bring in hide, connect them up. Okay, now when you start the game, you've only got this guy there, and those 3 will randomly appear very shortly. Okay, so let's have a go at these guys. I think little Elvis here is starting in the wrong position. I just want to fix him back up. There we go. Okay, so we've got Little Elvis, he's a pretty rare one, so I might hide him when we start our game. Okay, I'm going to leave this guy. Whoops. Let's come across to duck number 7. We'll hide him. And our last guy here, duck number 8, we'll hide him as well. So just replacing the word show with hide. Okay, so when we start our game, we hide the duck instead of it showing. And you'll see now, I've got these two showing up only. And I might leave this last guy showing. Actually, yeah, we'll leave that last guy showing. We'll make sure these last 3 down here will be hidden. 1, 2, and where's the little one? There he is, 3. Okay, so when we start our game now, we've just got 3 ducks that appear on the screen, and the other ones will start popping up randomly depending on how many seconds we gave them to appear. So here they go, they're starting to show up now. You start going through and clicking on them and getting yourself some points. Okay, now you might have noticed each time I start the game, my points carry over from the previous game. So my score's getting quite big, quite fast. So what we need to do is we're going to make a new sprite. So just click the paintbrush here. We're going to paint an empty sprite and go back to scripts. I want you to rename this sprite by hitting the little information symbol and calling it controller. Pressing the back button to go back. This is just basically a controller that controls some of the stuff that goes on behind the scenes in our game. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is set our score to 0 when our game starts. So in the events tab here, bring out when the green flag is clicked, simply set the score to 0. Okay, next thing we want to do is go back to events. When the green flag's clicked again, we're going to make a new variable up called time. We're going to give ourselves 60 seconds, okay, to play this game. So give it the name time, leave it for all sprites and click OK. And I want you to set the time to 60. Okay, and that gives you a little clock up here. It'll say 0 at the moment, but that'll change when we run the game. I want you to bring it down the bottom. Just put it next to the score there somewhere. Okay, so if you run the game, you'll see that that time will sit at 60 seconds. It doesn't count down yet though, so we better get that counting down. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to our control tab here, bring out wait 1 second, and in data we're going to change the time by -1 second. And we want this piece of code to keep repeating over and over again, so put a forever loop around it and just snap it on to this section of code. When you run your game now, you'll see that this timer will start counting down from 60 seconds. Now that would keep counting down to 0 and then continue counting down into the negatives because we don't tell it to stop when it gets to 0. Okay, so what we're going to do is going to bring out one more green flag thing here. So when the green flag's clicked, we're going to be listening out using a forever loop. We're always going to be listening out for when this timer gets to 0. And when it does, we want our game to stop. So we need an if-then statement going inside of here. So if our time equals 0, that's what we need to put in here. So if time equals 0, then we're going to broadcast a message to all these sprites in our game. So go to your events and choose broadcast message and make a new message. It's going to be called game over. Okay, so we're going to tell everything in our game that it's game over. And once we've sent that message out, we're going to stop everything from running. Okay, so our game is basically going to stop at that point. Alright, at that point then, when our game is over, we want a little duck to pop up and tell the user their score. So I'm going to make a new sprite quickly, and in animals, you'll see a yellow duck. Just bring him in and position him down the bottom left, somewhere about there. Okay. Back over on your controller, I want you to go to the events and bring out when I receive game over. So when this message is sent out to all the sprites and broadcasted out that it's game over, what we're going to do is we're going to go to looks and choose say, and we want it to say game over, your score was, and just read the score from this variable. So we're going to go to operators here and choose join. We're going to do two things here. In the first part, we're going to write game over, your score was, put a space, and in this last box, just go to data and choose the score. And that will join those two things together to make it one big sentence. Okay, we'll test that out shortly just to see how it goes. That's about all we need on our controller, I think. So what we might do is we'll go to our duck next and just finish him off. So at the moment our duck is just sitting there right in the middle of our game, which we don't want. So when we start our game we want to hide him. He doesn't need to pop up until the end of the game, so just hide him when we start. What I might also do is just make sure he's in that position, so we'll just put in go to that position. Okay, so he's always in that spot. And in the events, when the duck receives the message that it's game over, that's when he can come back onto the stage, so we'll just show him. Okay, that's our little duck done. And the last thing I want to do, when it is game over, I want all the ducks on our page to disappear, okay, so they're not distracting what's written on the screen. So it's a little bit tedious, but what we're going to do is we're going to go to events on duck number 1, just bring out when I receive game over, and on looks choose hide, and that will just hide that first duck when the game's over. I want you to drag that now onto each one of the ducks. So I want every single duck to hide when it gets the message that the game is over. I know this is a little bit annoying. Nearly there. One to go. And if you want, you can go through each of those ducks and just right click and press clean up, and that's going to clean up your code so there's no code overlapping on top of one another. And then I think we're almost ready to play our game. Nearly done. Alright, so let's play our game. We'll see if there's anything missing. Okay, so press the green flag. Got our lights flashing. Got our timer down here counting down. Our score's at 0. We can click on some of these ducks now and get ourselves some points. So bear with me until this timer counts down. I might just pause the video actually, and when it gets down to 5 seconds I'll restart it for you. Okay, it's not long left now. We've got 5 seconds. So when this stops, all these ducks should disappear. Okay, and for some reason our speech bubble's a little bit away from our duck, so you might need to, just to fix this up, just move your duck up here. And we're just going to change his X and Y coordinates. So now when he starts on the screen, he's going to go to this position. The speech bubble will look like it's coming out of his mouth. Okay, so it says game over, your score was 690, and that comes straight from this variable down here. So that's our shooting gallery game all done. Okay, it wasn't that hard, was it? It was just a little bit tedious. Make sure you save that up. Okay, and I'll see you in the next video.